Roundtable Sports Network brings you NFL divisional debate coverage on a weekly basis from your favorite content creators across YouTube, featuring the AFC East Roundtable live Monday and Wednesday evenings, the AFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST, the NFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST, the NFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST. The AFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST. The NFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST. The AFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST. The NFC East Roundtable live Thursdays at 6 p.m. EST. Roundtable Sports. Real coverage from real fans.
NFC South Roundtable, how are we feeling today? It is your usual suspects back at it again with a Tuesday live to break down everything that just happened in Week 8. I've been saying this the last few weeks, but I'm going to reiterate it for anybody that's new or anybody that maybe didn't hear it. This is where football starts to matter. One of the greatest head coaches, if not the greatest head coach of all time, Bill Belichick, once said that real football does not start until about November and December. And November is just around the corner, and this is where real football begins. Today's video brought to you by BetUS. I'm your host, Colby Cochran with Roundtable Sports. Before we start bringing the guys in to talk about everything that happened Week 8 here for the NFC South, I want to let you guys know about something really cool that's new that we have here for the NFC South, and that is we're on Spotify, baby. So let's say you're driving. Let's say, you're trying to sleep in the middle of the night, but your YouTube's acting up, or maybe you just want the audio version. You can now find all of the episodes for the NFC South Roundtable now on Spotify. Super easy. All you have to do is go to the little search button for your Spotify, look up NFC South Roundtable, and you guys will immediately find it. This is what it looks like. We already got Week 7 recap up, Week 6, Week 5, all the way down here to Week 2. So we have pretty much every single episode that we've ever done here on the channel already up, and we will have every single video that we do moving forward also up. So make sure you guys follow us on Spotify at NFC South Roundtable. Make sure you guys like us, review us, do everything that really helps push out the podcast over on Spotify. It would mean the world to us. And if you want to hear more news about the other roundtables, we actually have all of the roundtables for Roundtable Sports on Spotify too. So make sure you guys go ahead and check that out. But without further ado, let's just bring in the fellas. And James, let's start with you, buddy. How you doing? I mean, this is Week 1 where things maybe kind of started to fall down for the Bucs a little bit. You lose your receivers. How you feeling?
Yeah, obviously a tough loss. We'll talk about it here in a little bit. But, look, I think last week the dynamic of the entire season changed, right? With those injuries that had happened with Chris Godwin and with Mike Evans going down. So that definitely changes the expectations overall of the season. But hey, nobody got hurt in this game, so that was a positive thing. But you know what? I'm doing good, man, despite the loss. And can't wait to dive into it a little bit later on in this show. Shout out to your Patriots, by the way, for winning.
Shout out to hey man, look at this. So it was my birthday, right? It was my birthday just on Saturday, and my girlfriend got me this gift. And I see this on Instagram, bro, like all the time. Those like chains that the NFL like players be wearing. This thing's like full gold. My girlfriend got it for me.
That looks nice.
Absolutely spectacular. I think it was this that got the Patriots the win. I'm not gonna lie. I think it was this, but I'm on cloud 9. My team might not get a lot of wins, so I'm gonna ride this one against an in-division opponent for as long as I can. Because James, you know just how bad Week 3 those Jets fans were to me. So this one was definitely sweet. Of course, today's video too brought to you by BetUS. We'll talk to you guys a little bit later how you can get an exclusive deal from them. Not sure if I mentioned that earlier, but we will talk about them later. Our proud sponsors for today's video. But let's go ahead and let's bring in Clay. Clay, when it rains, it pours, brother. When it rains, it pours. But you know what? A big move today. A big move. You do trade Deontay Johnson. Why don't you talk to us about that?
Fire sale.
There you go.
Fire sale. Everything must go. Yeah, no, I'm good, man. Like, honestly, I saw it coming from a mile away. I mean, trading Deontay Johnson was just the inevitable. The guy wasn't going to re-sign here anyways. So you might as well get something out of him. I mean, we kind of got fleeced in it, in my opinion, because you gave him a 6th-round pick plus Deontay Johnson, and it's a pick swap. You get a 5th-round pick. You really didn't get much because we already have 9 draft picks and we stayed the same. So it's like, it's different if it was like, okay, you got a 5th and a 6th, or you got at least a Deontay Johnson and a 5th. So it's like, or, it would be different. But in that case, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and it's been kind of weird because I feel like a lot of these trades so far that we've seen right before the trade deadline, they haven't necessarily amounted to some of the things that we have seen. Even my Patriots are making some moves. I mean, Josh Uche traded for a 6th-round pick. That's someone who you thought was going to go for maybe a little bit more. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins only went for like a 4th or a 5th it was. So I don't know. You think usually at the trade deadline, these guys go for a little bit more because teams are a little bit extra desperate. But right now, it feels like more so these teams are just fleecing these bad teams right now. And that's usually not what happens. So I was shocked. I thought Deontay Johnson could maybe go for like a 4th, because he has that high potential.
I thought there was some upside there. Like I was hoping that, with a guy who's been one of the best, is known as one of the top 5 separators in football for the past like 2-3 years based off of it, next gen stats on the NFL. But, it is what it is. I saw this coming from a mile away. I called it a couple weeks ago, and I just didn't think it was going to be that much of a fleece. But, Carolina Panthers front office is used to doing getting fleeced. So it is what it is.
Is what it is, man. And by the way, shout out to everybody who's wishing me a belated birthday. I really, really, really do appreciate that. Y'all are very generous. But let's go ahead. Let's bring on TJ. Thanks, buddy. Let's bring on TJ. Let's just get the 3 losers out of the way, right? Before we get into the only winner of the division for the week. Trust me, guys, I get it. My team's a part of the AFC East. We're pretty much in the exact same boat as you guys are right now, too. So, TJ, man, why don't you talk to me? What happened here?
Man, look, I know normally when your team lose, you're upset about it, but not me. I'm not upset about it. As a matter of fact, I hope they keep losing. I'm serious. I hope they keep losing because apparently – that's the only reason. That's the only way that this team is going to get rid of Dennis Allen. This is the one of the most legendary sit-ins I ever seen in my entire life. Like I ain't never seen anything like this. I've been watching football for a long time. I just never seen a front office that is just committed to a loser like Dennis Allen. Like it's amazing, man. The commitment. If you're looking for someone, a relationship or anything like that, this is the type of relationship you look for, man. Somebody that's just going to look beyond all your imperfections and just continue to commit to you. That's what you need. You need a Mickey Loomis. But yeah, I'm not upset, man. I just hope that let these wheels keep on turning, man, so we can get this bum up out of here.
It's really strange too, and I know we talked about this last week. I think we even talked about it the week prior, but it's still absolutely mind-boggling because, I remember back in like them 2010 days, like that era, coaches, they lasted way longer than they probably should have. Like it was very rare to see a head coach leave. And when a head coach was fired, it was a very emotional thing for the head coach, for the franchise, because those are guys that would constantly stay. But since like 2020, this is a generation of the NFL where the fan bases, ownership, the level of patience has never been so low to where you could be fired after your first year. You could be fired within your first year if you're not performing up to expectations. And the Saints are like the only organization that I'm seeing right now that are hanging on to a bad coach longer than realistically they should. So, TJ, how many losses do you think that it will take to officially fire Dennis Allen?
I honestly don't know. I really don't. I thought that it probably would have happened after that Thursday night game versus Sean Payton. I thought maybe it would have happened after this game versus the Chargers. If they lose to the Panthers, no disrespect, Clay, but if they lose to the Panthers,
no taking.
You gotta let it go, man. You have got to get him up out of here, man. But from what I'm hearing, they don't feel like he's the issue. From everything that I'm hearing, like from reporters, the people that I talk to that's on the ground, they say they don't feel like he's the issue. So, wow. It is unbelievable, man. It is unbelievable. But I guess they just like losing, man. So here we are, six consecutive losses and still committed to this guy like he Bill Belichick or something. I don't know.
Dude, they're going to look at those first 2 weeks and say, you know what? We were a good team. We were blowing teams out. Clearly, there is something here that we have. We just need to re-implement what we saw the first 2 weeks for the rest of the season. That's absolutely absurd. As an owner, too, the last thing that you can do is go into this business with emotions, because as soon as you do, you lose. And that's exactly what's happening right now with the Saints. And it sucks to see because, I mean, man, me growing up, and I just turned 23, so I'm still pretty young, but like me growing up, man, the Saints were always like with Drew Brees. Y'all were this dominant team every single year in the playoffs. And it sucks to see you guys kind of become this joke of a franchise because your ownership just can't do their part of the job. The ownership doesn't have to do a lot. All ownership has to do is be able to come in when the chips are down and be able to say, you know what, ownership, or not ownership rather, but the head coach, you're done. Defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, you're done. Step in when it matters the most, because your only job as an owner for the most part is really to just put the overall coaching staff into place.
Yeah,
Shouldn't be that hard, brother.
I mean, but look, at the end of the day, I just hope that it's worth it. I just hope that it's worth it, because you're going to mess around and you're going to have an empty Superdome, and they got a very red hot Atlanta Falcon team coming in there, and I guess it's going to take the Superdome to sound like Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta for them to get the point. But that's what's going to happen, man. People are tired of it, man. So we'll see.
Man, let's go ahead and let's bring on our boy Smitty. Smitty, man, you're the only one in the division that won this week. Y'all are still riding absolutely sky high. Y'all still looking like a playoff team. The other three guys, even myself for my team, we're here kind of just sitting talking about, all right, when are we going to start our joint mock drafts? And you're here like, mock drafts? What are you talking about? I want to play football in February. Talk to me, Smitty.
Man, it's been a wonderful ride. And TJ, I'm going to tell you, they need to keep Dennis Adler for as long as they can, because I'm enjoying every bit of it.
Yeah, that's the only way that Atlanta going to maintain his momentum. And everybody know this. Everybody know it. But hey, keep it going, man. Congratulations to y'all.
Hey, man, I agree with you 100%. He should have been kicked out 2-3 weeks ago. You can let the dude that work at the hot dog stand coach the team at this point, because he ain't doing nothing. He just there. And I think it's a friendship type thing. I can't let my buddy walk out the door. It's just that type of situation. But this game last weekend, man, it was crazy, man. We had to get back and get a win this week if we want to keep this playoff momentum going, because even though our schedule a little easier at the beginning of the season, if you look at it, but now you talk about teams like the Vikings, the Commanders, even the Raiders. Those are key games going down the stretch. So this was a must-win game, and it kind of gives us control of the NFC South.
Absolutely. Well, guys, let's start breaking these games down. But before we start doing that, I do want to give a massive shout out, of course, to the sponsors of this video and this channel all football season long over at BetUS. We're talking about the best damn sports book on the platform. I exclusively use it. Everybody here exclusively uses it. In fact, everybody at Roundtable Sports exclusively uses BetUS because they are the best damn sports book on the platform. And we're teaming up with them right now to give you guys a limited time exclusive offer of a 150% sign up bonus on your first deposit, followed by 125% sign-up bonus on your next 2 deposits, all the way up to $2,000. That is a deal on your first 3 deposits when you guys sign up right now. Super quick, takes less than a minute. I've done it myself, and you use promo code like you see on the screen, YouTube150. That is YouTube150. BetUS, they have the fastest payouts in the industry. They can give you a 200% crypto deposit bonus. They got the fastest and easiest deposit and withdrawal process in the business. 24/7 personalized service, 365 days a year, live wagering on all major games, best betting variety in the business. You can even get a 10% back on your net losses 2 times a year, and BetUS can give you your very own personalized account manager. And like I said, they got the best damn betting variety in the business. You can bet on politics, you can bet on NFL games, and even NFL futures. Who's going to win Coach of the Year? Who's going to win Comeback Player of the Year? MVP. You can even bet on the draft. Who's going to have the first overall pick? Is Travis Hunter going to be a cornerback or a wide receiver at the NFL level? If you're somebody who's into politics, you can even bet on the upcoming election if that's kind of, what you're into. I'm not into it, but, I guess if that's what you're into, go right ahead, because BetUS can give you all of these options. And again, you can get this exclusive limited time offer that you see on the screen right now. Massive, massive shout out to BetUS. But fellas, let's go ahead and let's just start breaking these games down. And Clay, I want to start with you. Talk to me about what happened with the Panthers this past week.
Same shit, different week. I mean, literally, that's what it is. The game went better than most of us. I mean, than I expected, honestly. I mean, because we had a decent first quarter before completely unraveling. once Denver got a rhythm. But this offense is just a big empty nothing once again. I mean, things look decent in that open drive. One touchdown kind of gave me this glimmer of hope, right? Absolutely nothing until garbage time. They scrapped together just one measly first down in the rest of that first half. And Bryce Young and this offense just got totally outmatched, outcoached, both on the ground and through the air. Dave Canales tried to play it safe. You could tell by the way he was calling it. Super, super conservative game plan, hoping that Young could just manage his way through this one. But as soon as Denver caught on, they shut him down, and all those scripted, pretty plays didn't mean squat against a defense that saw right through us. Defensively, it's getting embarrassing. Let's be honest. It's the same nightmare, different week. Denver did exactly what every other team has done to this squad, made them look like a junior varsity lineup. That I'm seriously questioning Ejiro Evero as my defensive coordinator play calling, because the Broncos converted 9 out of 11 third downs. All right, so 9. Okay, Evero calls were confusing at best, and at this point, it feels like Bo Nix knew where to throw the ball before the Panthers even lined up. And so I get that he's working with limited talent, but damn, there's only so much patience someone can take before we start calling for accountability. All right. The most alarming thing on these defense is the fact of the lack of adjustments and the no answers with even the talent that we do have. And we had a lot of starters on this defense back in this game.
Man, like I said, when it rains, it pours, Clay. When it rains, it pours. But you know what? Don't be too down on yourself, brother. Don't be too down, because although it sucks and a win is a win and a loss is a loss, you guys know that you're not necessarily a good team or a great team. That really wasn't the expectations maybe for the Panthers even coming into 2024. And you were going up against a Broncos team that has become really lightning hot. I mean, red hot, scorching hot over the last few weeks. And they are a playoff contender right now. So, yes, when it rains, it pours. It is still a loss, but at least it was a loss to a playoff contender, right? But TJ, what were your thoughts on this Panthers game?
I mean, it was an advantage for the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton has played the Carolina Panthers for like 16 seasons. Like, there's nothing that he don't know about that football team. I mean, he knows who the good players are. I mean, he has a plethora of tape and film and knows how to play them. I mean, it's just that plain and simple. I think the Denver Broncos are an overrated football team. I think they're benefiting from Sean Payton's knowledge of the NFC South, because I haven't seen them beat anybody that's remotely competitive. At the end of the day, the Carolina Panthers are the Carolina Panthers. I mean, bad management, bad coaching, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, they're going to have to figure this thing out. I mean, the Carolina Panthers fans, I keep saying this, they deserve better. When you pay your hard-earned money, you want to see a product that you can be proud of. You probably don't expect to win a Super Bowl every year, but hell, you at least want to be competitive. They're just trying to throw something against the wall and hope that it sticks. They tried to go with Andy Dalton. He gave them a spark one week, and then Andy Dalton became Andy Dalton. And then they went back to Bryce Young, which I feel like was a huge mistake, because you basically pulled the guy and you basically shook his confidence. And now you're asking him to go back in and win one for the old Gipper. Like, that ain't going to work. So, I mean, they are who they are right now. The best thing that they have going is that they have their first round pick, and maybe they can correct some wrongs and the wrong decisions that they made throughout the years. Maybe they can correct it by getting themselves a franchise quarterback that they can actually build a team around.
I'm trying to think too, was that this game where Andy Dalton just had that horrific interception where he threw it like on the run outside the pocket straight to the Broncos defender? I'm pretty sure that was this game.
Nah, that was last week against.
That was last week. I'm getting my week picked up.
Yeah.
That was against the Commanders, right? Oh man, let me tell you, Clay. I saw that and I was like,
hey man, we got the first round. Listen, we got the first round pick, like TJ said. So it's time to fire sale. I'm telling you guys right now, and I'm calling it here. I called it 2 weeks ago. I'm going to call it again. Don't be surprised if guys like J.C. Horn, Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders, Jadeveon Clowney, Xavier Woods, don't be surprised if they get traded, because Carolina needs to do everything they can to stack assets for this 2025 draft to go ahead and start rebuilding this team the right way.
Yeah, and we are hearing rumors too. I mean, there's a lot of rumors going around the trade deadline, like there always is. And just because players are available or they're being shopped doesn't mean they're going to actually be dealt, of course. But Jadeveon Clowney is a name that I'm hearing consistently throughout the trade deadline. And as we're getting closer and closer to,
he'll end up at the
November 5th.
Buffalo Bills. I'm calling it now.
That would be a great move for them
The
too.
Buffalo
I really
Bills
like
sounds weirdly like Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Maybe, please, God.
Hey, and real quick too, I do want to share this with you guys because, like we mentioned, the Panthers do have currently that projected first overall pick, but this is, according to Tankathon, the outlook right now. Like, so if the draft started today, this is what the outline would look like. The Panthers are number 1. And then we do in fact have the Saints at 6, and we got the Bucs right now at 15. So maybe just a little bit of an indication just how rough the NFC South has kind of turned.
We're looking great, boys. Carolina 5-game lose streak, the Saints 6-game lose streak, the Bucs 2-game lose streak. We're looking great.
Yeah, I mean, about the mock drafts, man.
I tell you what, I've already started getting my draft boards ready, getting ready to start doing some mock draft content. Like, here's the thing, man. With that first round pick, man, I'm going to tell you this right now. Carolina needs to trade that pick. I think they trade it and they get more draft capital, because the more we get, the more because that's what this team needs. They got to get as much assets as possible. They've got 9 draft picks now. I say try to trade that first round pick, fleece someone like the Bears did with us. Try to get something like that where we, get 2 first-round picks. There's nobody in this draft that has 2 first-round picks in this draft this year, but try to get a future pick on top of that, right? And I think that's what they need to do to rebuild this team properly.
Yeah, one of the best ways at hitting on the draft, as I've heard several general managers say, the best way at hitting on the draft is by having more picks, more opportunities to draft players. That's how you hit on the draft. So that's definitely the outlook that the Panthers should be looking at here. But let's go down to you, James. What do you think about this Panthers game here from Week 8?
Yeah. Well, firstly, just taking a look at the offense there for Carolina. Bryce Young is still not really in a position to be the long-term answer at quarterback here. I agree with Clay where Chuba Hubbard may definitely be a guy who's going to get moved here at the deadline. We've only got a few days until the deadline passes, and he's still pretty good. I mean, he had 3.7 yards per carry. This is against a pretty good Denver Broncos defense. So he may be a piece that can get moved. Look, I think both offensively and defensively, this is just a team that is just void of talent right now. Jadeveon Clowney, big free agent pass rusher, only has 1 sack this year. The only guy who got any type of pressure in this game defensively was Ashawn Robinson. He got 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. I mean, he did something, but aside from that, like in Chuba Hubbard on offense, and I guess Jalen Coker on the receiving room, like nobody's stepping up. Like, bro, David Moore is getting 5 targets in a game. That's crazy work. That is crazy work. Look, I agree with Clay. Like, this is just a Panthers team that's just void of talent right now. They have a lot of work to do. Bo Nix had 4 total touchdowns in this game. He looked great. I do see where Clay is coming from with the defensive coordinator possibly being a bit of an issue, and I think that is something that should be looked at. But you could very well see Dave Canales and the coaching staff say, well, we don't have any of the pieces, like Derek Brown got hurt for the year. Shaq Thompson got hurt for the year. And them maybe convincing, themselves that like, well, let's just get the right pieces in the building and then see how it goes there. But like, look, this is an organization where I think you have to look at everything right now. I'm not even saying like fire Dave Canales as head coach after this season. I mean, maybe they will. I don't know how, it's David Tepper. But this is just an organization from top to bottom where it's like they have to address everything and start from bare bones, from the absolute foundation there, to rebuild this organization to some level of competitiveness, because I know that they did beat the Las Vegas Raiders, but like, after that quarterback change, but this just looks like a team that is just not even close to being competitive. And it looks like they're not going to win another football game this year.
Ooh.
Wow, that's tough.
Another football game. I don't know. Look, I said the same thing about the Patriots, and then they beat the Jets. So you never know. Maybe like a right before Christmas, or maybe like right before New Year's Eve, one of those like magical miracle type games where Clay's just on his hands and knees begging Santa for one last gift of the year. Like maybe one of those situations, man. Maybe one, because those things happen, man. I remember, what was it, like 5-6 years ago, when the Browns were about to not win a single game for the season, and then beat the Steelers last minute. So you never know. It's always possible. Any given week, man. Any given week. Shout out to Red Swarm with the $5 donation saying happy belated birthday, Colby. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. Now, Smitty, why don't we get on into you, and you wrap us up with what you think about this Panthers game?
They already wrapped it up. The Panthers offer, they need a new owner, and they playing with a practice squad right now. But it really doesn't matter what they do at this point going forward. And you talk about trading that first round pick. Would you really miss out on getting your future quarterback? I don't think I would, because Andy Dalton, he might be a bridge guy, but he's still Andy Dalton. I don't expect Bryce Young to be here next year. So if they get that number 1 pick, I see them taking their future quarterback, no matter who that may be. I just hope it's the right guy. But as far as right now, I agree they do trade away more assets, even though they said they're not for sale. You got to do whatever to build this team from the ground up. And Dan Morgan needs a clean slate. So this game with the Broncos is just what it was. Sean Payton, like TJ said, been coaching against the division damn near 20 years. So he knows the personnel on each and every one of these teams. And what's up with these defensive coordinators in the NFC South? It seems like all of them suck. And I'm saying that about my own defensive coordinator in Jimmy Lake. I don't like that dude. I'm just being honest. He didn't show me nothing. He didn't show me nothing at Washington that he could transition to the NFL and become successful, because Michael Penix and those wide receivers carried that Washington team the last 2 years. So Panthers just a dumpster fire, man. Point blank, period.
And you got to think too, when you do trade Bryce Young, I mean, Clay, I don't know what your kind of expectations are when you guys, do end up trading him, which seems pretty inevitable at this point, but probably like a 3rd, 4th round pick, because he hasn't looked good. But I mean, this is a guy that was the 1st overall pick, and that holds a lot of value for teams. And we've seen that in the past.
Yeah, I mean, there's already teams there's been rumors that we've already had a couple, at least it was like 7 to 8 teams that have reached out to us, but the highest bidder has been a 4th round pick. And then I don't know if that was for 2025. I don't know if it was a future 4th. I'm not really too sure. I do like what Smitty said. Yeah, go, don't trade the 1st round pick. Go for a quarterback. I get that too. But I'm also looking at the 2026 draft, because I see Nico out of Tennessee. I see Arch Manning at Texas. And there's also other guys coming up through, obviously they'll be coming up next year. And there's going to be somebody else.
Take one more season and trust the process.
Yeah, well, not necessarily trust the process. It's just more of, I say bring a bridge guy in. That even if we do get a number 1 overall pick, and let's say we go for guys like Cam Ward, which everybody seems to want Carolina to go after. Bring a bridge guy and sit this kid for a year. Let this kid develop, because that's the way you do it. That's Patrick Mahomes did it behind Alex Smith. Jordan Love did it behind Aaron Rodgers. We've seen guys do that. Another guy that I would look into in this draft is Drew Allard out of Penn State. I think he's got that prototypical size, arm talent, strength. I like what he does. He's not mobile, but he's mobile enough. Another guy is Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. I try to see if I could get him in the 2nd round, maybe sit him down for a year as well. But whoever it is, if they want to get the quarterback of the future, and Canales sees that guy that he can do what he did with Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, he needs to have a bridge guy to sit him behind for a year and develop him properly.
Well, you know what? I say do exactly the opposite of what they did with Bryce Young. Like that's, and it sounds obvious. It sounds crazy, but it's just like, you know what? Despite what some people might think, I don't think this is a good quarterback class. I think it's been a little hyped up. I don't think this it wasn't supposed to be a good quarterback class anyway. So I say trade down, get extra capital, start building the team around the quarterback that you take in.
You have 2 options.
Draft.
Yeah,
exactly.
You have 2 options. It's either you trade back, get draft capital, you don't take quarterback this draft, or you take a quarterback in this draft, but you make sure you bring a bridge guy in for him to sit behind.
And then that was the
And
problem
honestly-
with Bryce Young, man. That was the right. Like the problem was is that they brought him in, they traded all the pieces around him, and they said, we took you first overall, despite being a rookie in your first season, in your first game. You need to excel the offense past its limitations. And that's not what you're supposed to do with a rookie quarterback in his first year or second year, no matter where you draft them.
Right.
Right. And I honestly think offensive lineman or edge rusher going first this year.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, those playing in the trenches, man. After you get the quarterback position, people want to, get the sexy positions, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs. No, after you get the quarterback, you build in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line, and then you start building around them. But let's go ahead and let's get on into this next game. And TJ, I want to talk about the Saints. I know you might not want to, man, but talk to me. What went wrong here?
I mean, where can I start? I mean, it started when they took that trip out to the West Coast. And this team is an absolute dumpster fire right now, man. I mean, guys are playing with absolutely no heart, and I don't blame them. I mean, you got a coach that doesn't inspire you like anybody. It seems like to me, I've been watching a couple of his press conferences over the last couple of days. It seemed like to me like he want to get fired. I mean, the guy looks like he done lost his best friend. Like he just got the worst news in the world. And I mean, they just aren't inspired, man. I mean, and everything this guy touches, like it just turns to crap. I mean, I just can't understand it. Like you have guys who were playing at high levels. It's like they're mere shells of themselves. It's just like guys are just doing things to try to be the hero instead of like working together. I mean, it just seems to me that everybody just kind of doing their own thing. I was watching this game and I mean, it was boring. I mean, for a short period of time, I think it was like 3-2. I didn't know if I was watching a football game of the World Series. And I mean, it was just mistake after mistake. Every good play that they made, it was a penalty. You have some quarterbacks that just not developed, not ready for the moment. You got, running back like Kendrick Miller showed some promise, but tell me if you heard this before, he gets injured. So it's just like every little positive thing that you can actually build on always just seems to disintegrate. And I feel I'm upset because they're making this an excuse. They're saying that the injuries are the reason why this team isn't successful. The reason why this team isn't successful is because of Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen is a horrible head coach. It seems like everybody understands that, for the exception of the front office. I just don't get it. I think maybe it has a lot to do with Mickey Loomis. I think it's the first time in his career he's at the forefront. He doesn't have like a coach that's dominant and cast this huge shadow like Sean Payton did. You look at Dennis Allen, he's passive. I mean, he's a coward when it comes to play calling. I'll tell you this. There was a play in the first quarter. They went plus territory. It was 4th and 1, and this dude punted the football. You 2-5, right? I mean, you might as well just go for broke. It's the first quarter, and it's got punts in plus territory. I mean, just stuff like that just tells you, like, the guy just don't get it. And I'm hearing all these excuses about Derek Carr coming back, and that's going to change things. Pete Warner coming back, that's going to change things. They're going to remain the same. And I think that a lot of people just look at this team in a certain way. It would not surprise me if this Sunday they lose to the Carolina Panthers. It would not surprise me at all because this team is that bad, and these players, they may not say it, but their actions show that they don't believe in this guy. And maybe, just maybe, if they get embarrassed by the worst team in football, we finally can rid ourselves of this mediocrity, this pathetic excuse for a coach. My goodness. I mean, it's unbelievable the commitment they have to this losing. But hopefully, if they lose this game to the Carolina Panthers, he gets his ass out of here and we can get back to playing some competitive football. The things that Sean Payton and Drew Brees spent 15 or 16 years building up, and it took him 2.5 years to crumble that ish down. It's unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think one of the problems too with the Saints is just you need to get back into the win column at some point. I know that there's going to be some controversy, probably Saints fans who are saying we don't want to win so that Dennis Allen gets fired. Some who are saying we need to at least get a win here and there, because the last thing you want is losing to become habitual. And then obviously all of your players are checked out. They don't want to be there, and it becomes a dumpster fire behind the scenes.
Man, he's a habitual loser. I mean, it is what it is, man. Like, man, this whole squad like just reeks of Dennis Allen. Like, just reeks loser. Like, guys don't even care. It don't even seem like it really matters to these guys. Look, I mean, to me, we all know what the problem is, man. Like, come on, man. Let's just be serious about this. You get rid of this dude, we talking some competitive football for the New Orleans Saints. It's just that plain and simple. This guy just doesn't have it. Nobody on this football team that they have drafted that are on this team has gotten better. Like, if they were good, like let's just say Chris Olave, for example. He came into the league good. He's right there, still the same way. Nobody has elevated their game offensively or defensively. The draft picks have been whiff after whiff, no development. And then when those guys leave, all of a sudden, they just become key contributors. Caden Ellis, like guys like that. Zach Bond out there in Philadelphia. It's unbelievable. I mean, it unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
Can I be honest with you? Can I be honest with you, TJ?
Mm-hmm.
I think that you guys, and this is just me, but I think what the Saints need to do is they just need to accept an entire year of being a bad team, probably worst in the league, maybe one win, maybe even be lucky to get one win, but y'all just have 1 year where it is a complete reset, because I'm looking at the numbers right now, and these numbers obviously are not final, but they're the projected numbers for cap space when the new league year starts in March. And right now the Saints for another year are projected to have the worst cap space in the NFL. Y'all are in negative cap space again. You're projected to be negative $81.4 million, which is worse in the NFL. And this is every year. I feel like
that does not matter. That does not matter. See, this is the thing. This is the thing.
Man.
The Saints have had bad cap issues. Like, they just starting to pay attention to this.
Yep.
18, 19, they were winning football games. See, the thing about it is how you absorb this situation is you have a draft like 2017 where you had Marcus Williams and Alvin Kamara and Marshawn Lattimore and Trey Hendrickson. That's how you do that. The front office have whiffed on these draft picks. It's been miss after miss, like Trevor Penning and Isaiah Foskey and guys like that don't deserve to be first and second round picks. Peyton Turner, I forget he even on the team. So in order for you to be able to build this up, you have to make sure that you're doing the right things. It starts with the scouting department. Like, if we would not be talking about the cap right now, if the New Orleans Saints was hitting it out the park,
right,
winning, like having guys that can come in first and second round picks that hit the ground running quick, that can contribute to this football team, we wouldn't have this issue. We wouldn't even be talking about the cap. We wouldn't be talking about the cap. That and better coaching. I mean, it is what it is. And in the year that you're talking about, this is the year. This is like you suck. You stink. So I mean, I don't see what are you gaining from winning football games at this point? Like, nobody believes in this coach. I mean, you got to be out your damn mind to bring him back. So you might as well, like, what, they're 6 right now? You might as well stay within the top 10. Get yourself a top player, quarterback, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not drafting in his position often. So get yourself one of these quarterbacks, the Cam Wards or the Shadur Sanders that they have out there. Get yourself an offensive line, build around that. Bring that wide zone, continue to build on that. Bring somebody in to complement Alvin Kamara that can stay healthy, and you can get to make yourself competitive. But it starts with getting him up out of here, man. It just starts with getting him up out of here.
Yep.
And James, let's go down to you. What do you think about the Saints game?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, just looking at that game, it's a weird looking game because, like, you would look at the stat sheet and assume that this game would have been closer than what it was. I mean, the Saints had 366 yards of total offense, but where they started to fail was, look, you allow 7 penalties for 66 yards. You are 2 of 16 on third down. That's pretty bad. Now, they did, the Chargers were 3 of 12 on third down to their point, but they just had bigger plays. McConkley had over 100 yards, had 2 touchdowns. Offensively, I thought that they showed some interesting things. Olave had over 100 yards. Alvin Kamara is still Alvin Kamara. Look, I've talked about it before, where I still believe this team will not be able to grow as an organization until you move on from Dennis Allen, until you move on from guys like Derek Carr, where that's just settling for mediocrity, in my opinion. To TJ's point, where just to kind of expand a little bit further than this game and look at the Saints organization as a whole. I know, TJ, you'd mentioned like Dennis Allen, kind of crumbling this organization the past 2.5 years. But like, I would take it a step further. Like, Mickey Loomis has not been great for this organization lately. Where, we just heard Colby mention the cap situation, negative 80 million. And, the Saints strategy of kicking the can down the road and, hey, we have Marshawn Lattimore, we have Cam Jordan, we have all of these good guys. But as time has been going, they're getting older and they're not as productive as they once were, but they're still on these very bloated, big contracts. Right. And it's catching up. It's catching up. So I agree with what Colby and with what you're saying, TJ, where it's like this organization right now is stuck with a lot of big contracts. They are in pretty big need of just a large scale reset, right? And Mickey Loomis isn't going anywhere. TJ, you informed us last week that the dude's in the freaking will of the former owner who had passed away. So he's not going anywhere. So if you're a Saints fan, you have to bank on Mickey Loomis rebuilding this team. But it also seems like that's just not something he wants to do. It's a weird thing. Like, Mickey Loomis is content to kick the can down the road time and time again. He has not had the best draft history recently. Like you were saying, TJ, Trevor Penning was not a pick that panned out. You take it a step further. Like you've had a couple of picks here and there who have had success, like Kendre Miller, and some other guys in there as well. But like Peyton Turner is not a playmaker anymore. Pete Werner is not really a guy. Paulson Adebo has gotten a lot of penalties this year. He's out for the year. They've had some issues with injuries. They've also had some big issues with not drafting well and not being able to bring in impact players. And I think that does, one, fall on the GM for just not being able to build a competitive roster, but two, also on the head coach for like what you said, TJ, not being able to grow and cultivate and develop talent. Right. The Saints gambled on a lot of guys still being able to play at a competitive level, even in their later years with like Cameron Jordan, Marshawn Lattimore, and things along those lines. And the gambles just aren't paying off right now. So they're going to have to change some things up, whether or not they are going to, whether or not Mickey Loomis is going to make those types of decisions, is going to remain to be seen. But he's not going anywhere. You can't get rid of that guy. And they won't get rid of that guy. So it's going to be interesting to see where the Saints go from here, right? It's going to be very interesting to see where the Saints go from here, because I know it's a simple thing to say. It's easier said than done to say like, well, the Saints can go draft a quarterback. They can go add this. They can go add that. But do you trust Mickey Loomis to be the guy to make those decisions? It's I don't know. It's a genuine question.
I do not.
Right. So it's like,
hey, look, just for a second, I want to tell y'all a story. There was this group that was really hot in the late 80s named Milli Vanilli. There was two guys from Germany. They was really like good looking guys, you know what I'm saying, can dance and all that kind of stuff, made the hits. But there was one issue. It wasn't them singing the songs, right? I mean, they were lip singing, but they won Grammys. They was like got notoriety. They was the biggest pop group in the world at one time. But then they got on stage one day and the needle started to skip. And everybody found out that they was lip singing. I say that to say this. Mickey Loomis is Milli Vanilli. You had Drew Brees and you had Sean Payton who was singing the songs. They was cooking it up. That's the reason why they could have got all those bad draft picks. That was one night. I don't know if you remember that, Smitty. I think they played against the Atlanta Falcons and Drew Brees threw 4 touchdowns to 4 undrafted guys. So you had a coach that can scheme it up and a quarterback that can put cologne on a musty body. You don't have that anymore. You don't have it anymore. So right now, everybody sees that Mickey Loomis wasn't making them hits. Girl, you know it's true. it wasn't you, dog. It wasn't you. It was not you.
And that makes me wonder, was Mickey Loomis the reason why Sean Payton left? Because and he still should be head coach.
I mean, probably. I wouldn't put it past it based on what I'm seeing right now.
Hey, man, big shout out to Red Swarm, who comes in with a $5 donation and says, TJ looks like Dennis Allen has pics of Mickey Loomis at a Diddy party. What is he waiting for to fire this coach? 5 straight losses. Red Swarm coming in with a
That's
crazy Jack.
That's crazy work. Golly. Yeah, Red Swarm paid $5 whole to get that read on this live. That's crazy work.
Worth every penny, too. I bet every
Shout out.
penny.
Shout out to Red
Shout out to
Swarm, man.
Red
That's my dude.
Yeah, man.
Plus,
I love
you
Red
got any
Swarm,
final
man.
thoughts on this game?
No, not really. TJ summed it up, man. It's just time for Dennis Allen to go. I said at the beginning of the year, even after they won the first 2 games, I still said Dennis Allen ain't showed up yet. But guess what? He done showed up like Michael Jackson over in Germany. It's time for him to go, man. Point blank, period. You got 35-year-old starters on defense who are getting long in the tooth, and it's starting to show. This game, Justin Herbert really didn't put forth an effort like a Justin Herbert would, and they still won by 3 touchdowns. So, yeah, man, it's just time for him to go, man, because it's not going to get any better. At this point, honestly, I start Taysom Hill at quarterback. Yeah, at least you know what you're going to get.
Hey.
What does he run all the time? That quarterback draw? He'll run that the whole game. Might get some points. So yeah, it like you said, it's a dumpster fire, man. There's no way around it.
There you go, man. Clay, what about you? Any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a health issue here in New Orleans. This is a full-blown coaching disaster and a team that has forgotten how to play together. Because at this point, they should consider probably hiring like a motivational speaker or something, because whatever they're doing obviously isn't working. And I feel TJ's pain. Like, we're in basically the same boat. You know what I mean? The thing is, though, I'm not even going to talk about the game because we saw what happened. The problem is it's just like TJ said. It's time to cut ties with Dennis Allen. Like, Dennis Allen has been here for almost 3 years, and all we've seen for the Saints, if I was a Saints fan, I would say this is disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. They're not just losing, they're losing badly. Like, that's what it is. So I would say it's time to shake things up. Like, they're going to have to do something with Mr. Loomis, because if the Saints aren't serious about playing winning football again, they need to find someone who knows how to coach, because clearly this isn't working.
And go back to them 2.5 years he was in Oakland. The same situation.
Oh,
After halfway through the season, they just fell apart. Every single year that he was there, they just fell apart.
Oh, Smitty, you ain't get the memo, man. Those years didn't exist. That in the eyes of the New Orleans Saints front office, they don't exist, man. This is his first coaching job, man. This is his first coaching job. All that stuff, man, that was a figment of our imagination.
And man, Misdemeanor Crimes comes in with a $5 donation, says the Saints are the snake we took in just for it to bite us. Dang.
Yep, she's absolutely correct.
Absolutely correct, man. But hey, y'all, look, real quick before we continue on to this final game, in division game between, of course, the Bucs and the Falcons. Got about just over 10 minutes left here in the show. Want to give a massive shout out here to the Autograph app. If you guys would download the app, it's completely free. It's on iOS. It's on Android. It's pinned in the live chat right now, pinned in the description box too. Like I said, it's completely free. This app has everything you could possibly ask for. The Autograph app is basically your one-stop shop for your sports hub. In fact, if you guys go here, you can join different communities. And as you see, I'm in a couple of different communities. I'm in the NFL Roundup, and basically right now I'm in the NFL Roundup. This is everything that has to do with the NFL. I mean, you have Adam Schefter tweeting out about different things going on with Jameson Williams from the Lions, different highlights, different statistics. It's super cool. It's like your one-stop shop for everything involving the NFL. In fact, the AFC East Roundtable, we did a show. We have a show every single Monday at 6 p.m. live on the Locker app, or not the Locker app, rather, but the Autograph app. And we're hoping that at some point we'll be able to do this for each and every single roundtable, but we can't do that without your guys' support. One of the coolest things about the Autograph app, too, is that it was co-founded by Tom Brady, bro. Freaking Tom Brady. So you know that this app is legit. But you can join many different communities. I'm a New England Patriots fan, so if I want to go ahead and I want to see what's going on with my New England Patriots, see some highlights, see some videos, anything that's going on with my team, or even if I want to hear some podcasts related to the New England Patriots, you can just go to the podcast section and it'll do that for you. If I want to see scores involving my New England Patriots, I just go to the scores. You can even see their upcoming games. But like I mentioned, with the Autograph app, you can join several different communities: college football, NFL football, NCAA, baseball, basketball. They have every single sport. And like I mentioned, it helps Roundtable Sports out significantly when you guys do download the app and use the code RTS. Like I mentioned, it costs you nothing. It is complete tremendously. So download the app, download the Autograph app from the App Store. Like I mentioned, link in the description box, pinned in the live chat now, and use code RTS when you guys do sign up. But let's get into this final game. And James, Smitty, I want to give you guys the floor to kind of go back at it and let us know what happened in this game. Obviously, heading into this game, I think, the Bucs, a lot of questions with two of their star receivers down. Obviously, the Falcons, they've been a rising team. They've really been a rising team. No pun intended there. But I'm going to give you guys the floor. And Smitty, let's start with you about your takeaways from this game.
My takeaway from this game is about adjustments, man. And I'm gonna give the Bucs credit, man, because they came out with a great game plan to start the game on running the football, because the Falcons, they suck at stopping the run. And I'm gonna keep it real, like I always do. But the Falcons adjusted to it, and they started forcing mistakes. And when the Bucs stopped running the football, guess what? They became one-dimensional, and the Falcons started to turn the momentum. Even though they got a late fumble from Tyler Algier, and they almost cost us the game, they still bend but don't break defense. But again, Kirk Cousins is the reason why this team is winning. When I said last year at the trade deadline, the Falcons should think about going to get Kirk Cousins, I was trashed about it. But again, it still happened because what? He's a veteran. They've been needing a quarterback. They drafted another quarterback, and guess what? They have the guy right now and the guy for the future. But this game, Bijan Robinson had another 100-yard game from scrimmage, total yards, scored again. And look, I'm telling you, if this Falcons offense can keep building every week and keep the momentum going, this is going to be a dangerous team down the stretch. Defensively, we still have good ways to go. This scheme needs to change. They need to fix things. They need to figure out the rotation because they still didn't sack Baker Mayfield, and that is a problem. So going forward, they still got to figure out, what to do about getting out to the quarterback. But as far as a team, they're still growing, but I feel like the defense is going to let us down in the end. But this game, 31-26, I just feel like the Falcons made more key plays at the right time, and those turnovers hurt the Bucs altogether.
Yeah, no, I agree with what Smitty said to a certain amount here for the Bucs and Falcons game. Look, I mean, you're not going to win many games whenever your quarterback throws a couple of interceptions, whenever you fumble, 2 plays into the game with Rachaad White having that fumble. And the defense was not great. I mean, Kirk Cousins was 23 of 29 for 276 yards, 4 touchdowns in this game. You're not going to win football games like that. It reminded me similarly of the first time these two teams played each other. And I do want to say this, barring like an epic collapse from the Atlanta Falcons here, like they're going to win the NFC South now. I mean, 4 out of their 5 wins are against NFC South opponents. That's great for that organization, right? And the Bucs dropped the ball here in this game. They couldn't get out of their own way in terms of offensive mistakes. But I would say the bigger issue for this game was defensively. They did not bring pressure on Kirk Cousins in this game. And this is actually a problem that the entire NFC South has, where none of these teams have pass rush. None of them. They cannot get to the quarterbacks to save their lives. You're seeing with every single team in the NFC South. And that has led to the Bucs secondary now getting exposed. You had an undrafted free agent cornerback as your cornerback 2 in this game, and Tyreek Thunderberg. He got benched for a 6th round draft pick in Josh Hayes. So it's a severe lack of depth right now. There's a lot of guys on this defense that are just not performing well. KJ Britt, their second inside linebacker, looks like a 4th string linebacker. All 4 of their pass rushers, I'm talking about Joe Tryon Shoyinka, Yaya Diaby. I'm talking about Anthony Nelson, Chris Braswell. These guys look like third-rate pass rushers right now, just not starting caliber pass rushers. And the depth of their secondary is getting exposed. I understand the injuries are a bit of a concern, but there's no veterans, backup-wise, I should say, in that cornerback room to help offset the injuries, right? And that was exposed in this game. So, I mean, definitely credit to the Atlanta Falcons for being able to do exactly what they did in the first game, which was pass well, keep Kirk Cousins clean for the most part. I would even say not even for the most part throughout, pretty much this game, they kept Kirk Cousins clean. And, the Bucs just couldn't get out of their own way. And I was worried about this was when the defense isn't performing, what would Baker Mayfield do? Would he try to force the issue? Would he try to, make plays that could result in mistakes? And that is what happened a little bit. One interception was bad, the flea flicker to Ryan Miller. The second one, honestly, was just a phenomenal play by AJ Terrell. I mean, that was just incredible. Just getting the interception and the sideline for that play. Look, Baker's thrown 7 picks in the past 3 games, 10 touchdowns. He still leads the league in touchdowns. I'm not as worried about this offense. I mean, you've seen a lot of good stuff from Baker, and Liam Cohen's legit, man, in my opinion. Liam Cohen is pretty legit. I mean, you're without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and you're still putting up over 400 total yards of offense. That's pretty darn good, man. But you're seeing the holes in the defense get exposed here. Todd Bowles is a defensive-minded head coach. And while you can say part of it is on coaching, I think also part of it is that he just simply doesn't have the guys right now on this defense. You gambled on a few guys, that pass rush, you gambled on it, you lost. You gambled on a 5th-round pick at inside linebacker 2, you lost. You gambled on some inexperience in the secondary in terms of backups, I should say, and you lost. So that's kind of where the Bucs are at right now. Again, 4-4. It's not terrible, right? But you've lost 2 in a row right now. I think you can still compete for a wild card spot. But again, barring an incredible collapse from the Falcons going forward in non-divisional play, and the Bucs really being able to bring it back in terms of being able to win games against the Saints and Panthers going forward for divisional play. This is the far and away the Falcons division to lose right now.
All right, guys. Well, we have just about 3 minutes until we wrap up the show. Clay, TJ, any final thoughts before we wrap up today's show?
TJ,
Clay,
you go ahead.
Huh?
TJ, you got any thoughts on this game before we wrap up real quick?
I mean, I thought it was a good competitive game. I was shocked. I thought that Tampa, because of the loss of Godwin and Evans, the game probably could have got out of hand, but they were competitive, man. I mean, I know they didn't win the football game, but that was pretty impressive. And, I'm hearing whispers, people talking about firing Todd Bowles, man. What a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan smoking, man? Like, for real, man. Like, the guy knows how to win. Like, I mean, it's just that simple. Like, I mean, I understand. Like, it was hard. The Falcons are riding high right now, and you expect for Tampa to go up in there and without their 2 best receivers and be as competitive, man. Baker Mayfield, he only can do so much, and you combine the fact that he's been playing well, but he's been turning the ball over, man. So it was a good game. It was competitive. Both teams really gave it their all, but in the end, there only can be one winner, and that was the Falcons. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, they looked impressive in the game, but both teams had their moments.
Clay, any final thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. The Falcons barely survived this one. Both teams look like a dumpster fire with bright spots. I think the Falcons are just too inconsistent for me. They're on top right now, but I need to see more consistency from them. That's really it. As for the Bucs, if Bowles doesn't get it together, I think he's on thin ice. I think he'll be job hunting by the season's end if he doesn't get this all together.
All right, guys. Well, look, that is going to wrap it up for our Week 8 recap for the 2024 NFL season. Again, want to give another massive shout out to the sponsor of this channel all football season long over at BetUS. When you guys use the promo code YouTube150, you'll get an exclusive limited time offer of a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, followed by 125% sign-up bonus on your next 2 deposits, all the way up to $2,000. Supporting the sponsors that support the channel supports everybody here at the NFC South Roundtable and everybody at Roundtable Sports. We could not be here. We could not be giving you guys this great content without BetUS. So make sure you guys go ahead and check them out. While you guys are also there, make sure you check out our Spotify. That is linked in the description box below right now. We will have every single video that we uploaded on Spotify shortly after. So if you're somebody that likes to listen to the audio when they're going to bed at night or when they're driving or they're on the plane, make sure you guys go ahead and check out the NFC South Roundtable over on Spotify. Like us, rate us, review us, do all that good stuff so that it helps us start to rise and grow a little bit more here at the NFC South Roundtable. Make sure you guys subscribe here for all of, again, your NFC South Roundtable news. We go live every single Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and we drop pre-recorded content later on within the week. Make sure you guys leave a big like on this video. I don't know how many likes we're up to right now, but I know, Clay, last time you mentioned it was like 50-something. We got 147 people watching right now. Let's hit our like goal of 100 likes before we end today's stream. Make sure you guys subscribe to each of these individual creators, links in the description box below. Whether you're a Bucks fan or a Falcons fan or a Saints fan or a Panthers fan, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. Make sure you go ahead and support each of these guys' individual channels. But we appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure you download that Autograph app too. Use the code RTS when you do it. Massively help support us here at Roundtable Sports. That's linked in the description box below and in the live chat too. But we appreciate you guys for watching. I'm Colby Cochran, your host here with Roundtable Sports, and we will catch you later on in the week. Stay safe.